we're going to discuss our dispatcher improvements. Now, currently we have run simple basic functions like installing test by average and use average to run a test case and push logs back to dashboard. And it could be provide more features. So we have discussed on new features. Please share your ideas. And I also list some here for us to discuss. Let's go for the first.
Okay.
First is the enhanced error handle. Now we can have a simple error handle for just meet the error and or exception and push the serial log to dashboard.
So you're saying if any action fails, you
just fail and push a serial log back to dashboard.
So you don't collect any.
So I don't know because
this is now we can support. So we may enhance every different errors and exceptions.
So I think we should have different kinds of errors. I mean, if it's something that fails. If it's something that fails during the deploy process, then that's the right thing to do. However, if you have multiple tests that are running, then it may make more sense to try to carry on.
Yeah.
If one test fails, it could just be that something went bad in the automation there, and we don't want to break it at that point when we could have gotten a whole lot of extra stuff out of it.
I just want to add one important comment.
Yes.
We should definitely distinguish between a test failing and the whole thing failing. And
That's right.
everything that fails, like we didn't get to run the first test at all, we need to still have something like the lab test, the one that the scheduler the dispatcher actually provides, to store anything at all.
Where do you do that?
Yeah, right. But is it in the dispatcher, or is it something like?
It's in the dispatcher, yes.
Okay, if it's in the dispatcher, no problem at all.
Right. So what it does is it creates kind of like a fake test. That it's not a test that we're actually running, but it's just we call it lava. You'll see the test for it, and it's got the boot test that happens when it tries to actually boot into the test image, whether that has to fail, and it's got one other like deploy or something.
Yeah, it has some like job complete with a
job completion. Yeah.
Finished.
So if anything caused it to have an error before the end of the test, and it couldn't complete the entire test, then it will fail. But if it passes all the way through, it gets to the end and submits results without that happening, then the job complete test is passed.
Yeah.
So what are you suggesting here?
I mean, for different fields, we may have some special handles. Like if timeout, we can try again, or
Try again on the per command level?
for the action.
For the action?
Yeah.
Could be tricky, the action could be many things.
Yeah,
I wouldn't go to a point where you can assume the command can be done again.
Yeah, I would rather err on the side of caution and say if the action failed, then we fail.
Yeah.
And if
If you want to do
it's
retries,
not that
go to the action
expensive to
itself.
retry the entire test.
Yeah.
I mean, even if the test is something that takes 24 hours to run, I would rather retry the test than come back and have a test result where it failed a bunch of times and something was flaky, but have that glossed over by the execution framework, I think.
I don't know what you mean, like how would we gloss over something?
By retrying it.
Ah, yeah, okay, yeah. So if you want to retry to it at the action level, it even makes sense with that action. Maybe apt-get
Right.
failed because
Not all actions
DNS working.
are something that
Depends
can be
on,
retried.
Depends on errors.
Right.
For some network error, could we have some track from the manual network configuration?
So the network error, the only place we throw that is when when we're trying to boot the master image and make sure that it can reach the network to do the deployment. And there's one other place now with Android, because Android relies on the network to be working in the test image. So what would you want to do with if there's a network error?
I mean, in a previous blueprint of departure, there is a detector if the network is error and try to bring up the network manually.
I think that's what we already, well, what do you mean by manually?
Cool.
So there was this idea that we talked about at one point to not use DHCP.
Yeah.
And use static addresses.
Yeah.
And so that's actually an improvement that we could make to the dispatcher, but it also relies a little bit on the lab supporting it as well.
Okay. Could you just write a test case that looks for it, tries to reconnect,
and fails to submit the failure? No, just kidding. we will collect that. I have two observations. One observation for the earlier notes, like the timeout, operation failed, network, blah, blah, blah. That stuff seems to be like a test case in the lab test. So we can know that we failed because the lab failed.
It's not always a test case, so
Yeah, I'm saying it's a
sometimes
test
we're
case.
doing
It will be
master
recorded
image
as a
to
test
find out
case.
if we have network access. So I mean, the more, I mean, DHCP was kind of the lazy, easy way to do it. I think we really still want to go towards having static addresses for all these guys.
Yeah, that's something that's something separate. I'm just saying about how would you report that it was a network failure to the from the dispatcher back to the dashboard. And I'm just saying that perhaps we should just encode that as a failure of specific, like a special test, saying blah blah dot network error. Yes, it's a failure. Sorry, failed. So that's one observation. Perhaps that's
There's one big ugly time when that's going to fail us. And hopefully it would never happen or be extremely rare.
Yeah.
But if we're booted back into the master image at the end of the test trying to resubmit the results,
Yeah.
if we can't ever reach the network for whatever reason then we can't submit the results.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, that's something like it's a different problem.
Right.
Yeah, that's true.
so we
Actually,
We could try to
We
do
can.
various things through it.
we can submit the results. We can't submit any of the results that we stored on there, but we could submit a lava result like we do for
Through
the
serial.
lavas. Yeah. And
Yeah.
we could have, so we could just add that as, like we do the lava,
We could
boot
receive it
failed,
at
the
least.
lava job failed, we could do a lava network.
Yes, we could actually because Lava have this dispatcher has this idea how like it constructs this Lava test result object. So we could precede it by cutting some header, some non-header through a serial line, then a bunch of this client-side
Right.
results that don't depend on network, and we just load that and append that to those results.
so we have the
Submit the results through the serial interface?
No, just
No,
yeah, that's what I meant.
no.
Just to say that we didn't have network, and this is my only way to tell you that.
So we can kind of do that. We can submit the entire serial log, but if you want to submit the whole results
no,
to
okay.
the serial interface, oh my gosh.
No. Just not the whole results. Just Lava saying I didn't have network.
Right.
Does that work?
Right, but we can still save the serial log, so you could actually still see the log of the entire run, which would be useful.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay,
so
so
we have the same problem on the desktop side,
Uh-huh.
where like you might be, well, our particular instance wasn't that network was down, it was that we were in a walled garden in a customer site, and we wanted to run a test run on a specific piece of hardware that had absolutely no access to our reporting infrastructure. And what we did was we changed the client, so the client was aware of where in the test run it was and when it actually completed the test run. And then if you took the results file and you moved it to a machine that had network access and you reran the client would be like, oh, I've already run this test thing. Let me see
we
how
have that already because
Right.
we just make the document and you can send it from
You can
anything.
save the bundle
Give it
out
a
and
frame
then
drive.
just submit it.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we don't have this problem. That's a good.
Yeah.
Right.
So I meant to say something different. I just don't remember what it was now. So let's continue. You hope you remember that.
Let me add one thing to the notes here.
Yeah.
So we go for the next. It costs some time. I think it is too long for this deployment for the fabric and install necessary packages and also do some
Yes, yes.
correction.
Yep.
So we actually talked about this in another session, that we could install, what was it, application G or something?
Yeah, there are two things we should do. For all bizarre branches, we should have some efficient way of getting them not on the device. Because getting on the device will not work for many cases and will be slowish. For all the Debian packages, we should just use apt cache, but we should still make sure it works. Like, I have those mixed stories, so people say it's awesome, and people, including me, have this problem when it doesn't work. Like, you have
There are multiple different tools for doing this.
yeah, but they all have the same problem. Like sometimes you have this package that works awesome when you just download directly, and it gets corrupted when you download this proxy stuff. So you should just make sure that it works in practice.
Well, there'll be something that we can make work. We can
Yeah.
just deploy Squid, right? You know, take
Yeah.
Squid,
Squid is one
so
option as
Squid is
well.
one of the things that doesn't work out of the box. If you do that, it
Right.
will not work for you.
Of course, but you have, but given sufficient effort, you can make it work, sure.
All right, there is
It's
some
detecting. We can make it work.
issues.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, so that's one thing. And the other thing is that things like ABRIC will be packaged. So you will not be pulling ABRIC from a tree. I think this is a good idea, and just getting ABRIC as a deb. So at least you will avoid at least running BZR one more time and having it on the tree.
Well, every offline feature is good.
That's a good question.
We discussed in a
So,
I don't remember what we actually said.
so I think it came down to a matter of where we actually needed to have this. And I think one of the biggest, clearest places is maybe not the highest priority for us right now, and that's like the tests that are proprietary and not redistributable.
Yeah, there's this other issue that I remember showing up earlier. Some people at Samsung were having issues with ABRIC, so their board didn't have Ethernet yet. So they had no network at all, but we don't, like, doing that is difficult, so we don't, there's this issue, we recognize that it's not, we're gonna support it just right now.
Right. So, yeah.
It's
So,
difficult.
I mean, there are some ways around that. I mean, it's a little bit manual, but if you can take it to a board that does have access and you can install your tests, then you
Yeah.
can copy that directory and
But,
reinstall it.
yeah, in general, I think there are lots of solutions to this problem. Each of them costs lots of time to actually
So
do.
what's the problem?
The problem is having offline.
So like people that are behind a firewall or something and
Oh, right.
they can't have the test framework go out and retrieve these tests. They want to be able to have some magic way of installing the tests and their dependencies and everything.
Yeah. So that,
And without them being able to get to the network even at all sometimes.
yeah, there are two things that could be offline, the device or the system. And for both of them, there are different solutions. Like your system is online, but your device is not. So it's an early bring up, it doesn't have any network yet. It's a different offline problem. And if your system is behind a firewall, that's a different offline problem.
I guess,
Yeah.
I mean, if your device doesn't have network yet, you
Right.
have to build an image with all the tests you want to run on it, or something along those lines.
Yeah, or you
Now,
could try to feed
okay,
it.
quick question.
Well,
Does anybody here have that problem?
Samsung had the offline device problem.
Can you use a proxy?
No, what we did was we changed the way our test framework installer works, and we could redirect it to a DVD.
To a what? Sorry?
To a
DVD.
DVD. Yeah, so essentially we did talk about one thing from the,
We
I
can
think the one
redirect it to
useful
like a-
stuff was
a
that
store.
none of the tests would be doing network-ish thing operations. Like, we don't want to download a file by running the test, I want to download the file and give it to the test. So you would just have a manifest, you could supply in different means. Like, a DVD is an extreme case of that.
Yes.
I can imagine this ARM device with this USB DVD attached. We have tests.
But we're dealing with slightly different devices.
Yes. So essentially, I don't know, does it answer your question with the offline?
So can we maintain a package list when we do previous installation for previous running? We have get some packages and we can store somewhere.
Get selections, set selections, stuff like that?
Yeah, like occasional. And then if we can't find another new package, we can just install all the images, all the packages. We just pull out, pull down to
It's not always
So
packages,
after-
I mean, sometimes it's like tarballs that it has to download as well, and it
It's
has to go.
like a caching proxy,
Caching,
some more
yeah.
general solution.
Exactly.
Isn't it?
Which is what we talked about.
I wouldn't do a total proxy because proxies sometimes want to go to that side to say if it's.
Now, one thing that we did mention
Like just-
is that somebody said that it
Copy.
won't use a proxy. So we just need to make some adjustment there. to
Yeah, that's
let it
also
use
true.
a
Yeah,
proxy.
some pieces, but some pieces are not proxy or that's next for
You
us.
can always do a transparent proxy, but I guess that's evil.
Right.
That's evil. But it also depends on, like, for packages, we expect to get the latest and greatest for lots of reasons, but for resources like this tarball I need to get, we don't want to get the latest and greatest because that's a variable in our test.
No,
It's just
it
something
points
you
at
can
what
assign.
to get.
Yeah, that's what,
Right.
yeah, that's true.
Unless, except for in some cases, like the power management tools, where it's pulling branch, but that's their prerogative.
I think they cleaned that up by now.
I don't know. Anyway, okay, so does that,
So do you think the FT cache really helpful for usually we installing a narrow image that has no package we want in our caching.
what's that?
I mean, for the FT cache, when we install a new narrow image, there's no packages.
AppCache is a service that sits on the network, and it's like a like Squid or an HTTP proxy, so the download is.
It works this way, like you don't go to the network, you just tell apps on your system to go to that place instead. And that place will go to the network for you.
So it's going to download it one time, so if you have 100
Yep.
boards trying to pull the same exact package, it's
Yes.
only going to pull it once.
You can do it.
And
There's a
it
free
serves it out
download.
locally.
So set-wise, out of the three command spots, for I think we need to support some commands which is not just in average. For random commands, like we need to find some memory usage.
Yeah.
And
We kind of specifically avoided this.
Yeah, so I have two questions. So essentially I think what you mean is we want to provide an action that we support in the tree that will allow people to use shell. That has a value. We should just try to avoid that whenever possible. It shouldn't be the way we implement new features. And there is another option that we allow people to deploy actions that were not shipped with the dispatcher. And it's something separate, it's easy to, we could support that. It's just something, I don't see the use case.
Yeah, I mean, I would rather have a clear need defined.
Yeah, it's easy to
Rather
add,
than
it's
just
just
somebody
one
might
person,
want
that's
this, I
fine.
would rather know for certain somebody needs to be able to get this, and we can provide an action that would do that.
But Paul, there's one very simple use case for using this shell command action. It's just someone running a bat job on like a device. It's like a exporter box for non-constant access. So you get this job, and this bat job with this kernel and this image. Just give me the results back. And the way you would do it is just send this, queue a job that says run this shell command and give me the results back. It's perhaps a very special case, but I think it's going to be a very common case what people actually want to do.
but do we need
You
to
talking about on reserved systems?
Not reserved. Just I want to queue this job on this on this kind of device with this kind of software and just run this command and see what it does.
Okay.
And
That sounds very much to me like the
reservations.
remote system, the reservation.
Yeah, but
system.
there's a distinction. It's a batch. You don't want to wake
That's
up in
how-
the middle of the night. Just
That's how you would solve the problem if this feature wasn't available. You would log into the machine and run the command.
Right.
Yeah. So essentially allowing us to have a job that does the same thing, and it's a batch top. It's a batch thing. It would be a very period. It's a good way to solve this.
Right.
It's to be a job that saves you 2 files. You get standard output for this and standard error and maybe the result code. That's it.
So it sounds to me like it's somewhat dependent on that, but if, on having the remote machine reservation.
Well, no, it's just it's just a part of the thing, but just having an action in the dispatcher that would be enough.
It would just give them shell access to do whatever they want to do.
Yeah, and store the
It was not
results.
interactive shell access, so
No,
it's
no,
not
it would be a
dependent on
batch.
the border boxes thing. So we don't need to figure out how to tell them what the SSH
Yeah.
is and stuff. It would just be
It would be more dependent on having
Oh,
a
those
queue
two
that
commands,
actually
basically.
does this one so well.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm saying that I just don't like this to become the next way of doing your
Right, I
actions.
just don't want to see this become
Perhaps
the way everybody does
Yes,
it.
yeah. But perhaps it's going to be easier for them. Like, they can build their library of shellish stuff. We can look at it later.
We can do it and see where it takes us.
Yeah, I think that's
If we
the
see
sensible way to
common
do it.
things happening all the time, then maybe it gives a sense of where we can make the actions more flexible.
So do we need to collect the output as back to the dashboard, or just
Yeah.
leave it in serial log?
Well, the serial log will not necessarily have that. I will just connect, like, I will have this action, add two attachments and a number somehow to the results. I don't know. I don't know ways to do it.
I'm sorry, what?
So essentially, I want to say that every time you have this command in your job, it will leave free artifacts.
It will be in the serial log.
But it's going to be so hard to pick out. Like, you have the serial log,
Right.
300 things in, you just want one line. And it's in this log file that we didn't store explicitly. I think we just stored an attachment. We can store as many as we want. Like attachment for job number 50.
Yeah, I'm not sure the attachment makes it easier for them to get at it.
Yeah, because there you have the constant URL to pick it from. Like, assuming you get the job ID, then I can give you a URL for this attachment. That's something valuable. You have to get it in your script.
So just save the output of these things as an attachment.
Yeah, save the output and the error code. I just don't know where you actually save the error code to. So let's not save it. I don't think about it. Because there isn't a test to actually do it.
But we can think about that when we get to it.
But the attachments are easy.
Yeah, this seems pretty straightforward to produce something like this.
Like, I remember going to this desktop session and these people telling me that they have this fancy lab and it's so hard to use because they have to manually reserve time on some calendar and somebody has to go to set it up. And all they want to do is to run LSHW. And that's all they care about. So, this would be like...
Right, and actually we have had several requests for things like that. There was a request that went out on the mailing list a while back for some audio stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Sean Gall, I think.
Also
He wanted,
stuff.
so he wanted everybody to run a command.
Right,
on
so that would be a very good
certain
way to
orders,
deliver that
so-
stuff on a daily basis and tell it when it changes.
This could potentially just be a test that you could dispatch on all boards and get all the results
Yeah,
back.
yeah.
Yeah, okay, I could definitely see how we could.
So next is customer kernel FG installation support. It is
Right,
discussed in the last session.
yes. So we've mentioned this before,
Yeah,
and there's some details to be worked out with how we get the pieces that we need to install, but I think we have a pretty good understanding of it. And this would just be a Lava dispatcher action that you would call after you deploy an image to insert a kernel, either a Debian packaged kernel or actually just in the last session, Ricardo mentioned that you have there's a, just can't think, it's too late in the week. you can do like make deb package or something on the kernel, and that's an upstream feature. That's not Ubuntu sauce, that's an upstream feature. And it should give you your kernel binary and your module tree, and from that we can produce the UImage and UNID that would be all the 3 components that we need to include.
Will it update the in-run professionals capacity?
No, but given the binary and given the modules tree, we could root into it and do that piece ourselves, possibly even with Flush kernel directly.
It's just talking about that previous session.
Yeah, we need to do some experimentation with that, but if we can't do it directly, then it means a little bit of extra work for us because there are board-specific pieces for the make image part, the load and entry point address. But we're already storing some machine-specific details for booting and things like that as well. We have to. So
Seems like
it's just one other piece that we would need.
very useful.
Yeah. And I think it's something that's going to take somebody some time to sit down and figure out all the pieces to make it happen. But it's straightforward what needs to be done. I think.
So Matt, I remember you have done a good feature about the fabric that's defining a new test case. Is it available now?
The depending on what you need, there are 3 features. Okay, so there is this out tree support, so you can have a new test living in, not in every tree essentially. And there is this experimental bit where you can install abric, say abric register equal to URL, and you learn about everything you need to understand about this test from this URL, and you have a new test. But this last thing hasn't really, it's happened, it's done. It's getting registered. You know,
That actually sounds very cool to me. I mean, this is probably the wrong.
You didn't like it when I
section for
showed it to you last
I
time.
didn't like the way you did it. but the feature as a whole, I think, is very cool.
Yeah, so essentially there's a registry that knows about new tests.
Right.
Keep it in your abric configuration. And the only thing that the registry has to wrap all of the knowledge you need to have. So essentially what I did is allow you to configure the default parsers, default everything that abric comes with. So like installer steps, parser steps, something else. And just you construct a new parser with all these things. And the thing at the end of the URL, which is cached, is a JSON file with the description. So I have that, that works. The only thing that doesn't work is the whole native tests idea where the parser is like a pass-through there. But if you want normal tests, that's done.
Yeah.
I would just write it.
So we're going to say macro instance support. Do you think it's?
I don't understand what you're talking about here.
I mean, if one
Yeah,
somebody
okay.
want to run.
Oh, okay. So that shouldn't need multiple
I didn't get
dispatchers. That's
anything.
almost like parallel.
What's
Huh?
the topic? Sorry.
So
Dispatcher.
this is actually not multiple dispatchers. You don't want multiple dispatchers running because then they're both kind of competing for control over the board.
Yeah.
What you actually want is
Non-exclusives?
the ability to run 2 actions
Okay.
in parallel.
Ah, but that's an action. That's a fancier action. I think. Unless
Pretty
this
much.
action has to, like, if you want to say, take these 2 actions and run them in parallel, then that's impossible because these actions can do anything. They can do things on the server side too.
Well, it's impossible.
In general, we have to say
It's hard because we're dispatching these actions over serial.
it's not only because of that, it's because that you don't know what these actions do and dispatching them in parallel will be meaningless. So
I think for the time being, the best way to provide something like this is if there is a clear-cut need to do something like like one case where we've seen something like this before is I used to run this thing where we'd run LTP tests with stress in the background as like a stress test to see if they still worked correctly while the system was under load. And there was actually an option added to the test suite to make it do that.
yeah, that's
So doing this like at an average level or even at a lower level than that at the test suite level
that's
is
perfect
very
way to do
easy.
it.
And I think that's probably the right answer for now, unless somebody comes to us and says, no, that's not going to work, and they can convince us otherwise.
Oh.
I think this is, because I'm getting the sense that this is kind of just a theoretical, this might be cool, not something that somebody's told you, I really, really need this, right?
Thinking myself.
Right, okay, so I think that's okay.
So
So I can update this. Terrible.
kind of when I read this earlier, I thought that this is about non-exclusive access. A little bit like you have this device that's already doing something else, but you have this special test that doesn't care. So I'm happy that it's not about this. Non-exclusive access is nice.
So next is stress test. What for one to run test about overnight test, but it will not. It just test the system stability, not it's not finished.
Yeah.
So we cannot find out nice result.
So what I think about it is that it's just, we do not want to have endless tests that you have to
Yes,
explicitly cancel
we
because it breaks a lot of things.
Actually,
we have a
we've
very
had
long
2.
test and
Well-
a reasonably long test probably.
Well, yeah, I kind of agree with that, but I do know of 2 cases where somebody has specifically asked for let me run a test as long as it will possibly run, and let me know how long.
Yeah, so then you say this test lasts 10 years, and run it like a test with an argument. How long do you want to run? 10 years.
No, we want to capture how long it actually ran.
That's easy.
And-
That's a separate topic. We
Right,
should capture that for every test we run.
yeah, we should. And, yeah, I mean, that's an easy way to do it.
Well, I'm saying like, if you try to write this,
I'm just saying,
schedule
I don't
that
think we
says
can ignore this
this job
stuff.
runs forever, it's a bad knowledge schedule, I think. Doesn't sound like a good thing to design. Perhaps if somebody really wants that to happen all the time, we need to reserve just dedicated hardware.
The one thing about this is it has to have a way to detect when the job failed.
Yeah,
It can't just time out.
yeah.
So you have to
Cannot
know
provide endless
when,
logs, that's also something we should care about. Like, we don't want to die.
you have to be able to detect, did the system crash, did the system hang, did the test exit and we went back out to a shut, what happened? You have to detect all the possible failure cases and know this is done.
Well, it really depends on the test. I would love to be able to say, let's wrap all of the logic of that in the test, unless the machine completely dies. And this is just a tiny piece of something we need to support in the dispatcher. Because the more things you shovel into the dispatcher, the harder it will be to maintain. If it's just like a special test, you can check that it really failed after so many.
But if the system crashed, then
It's a system crash is something I want on the dispatcher
side.
side. Yeah, on the dispatcher side,
Right.
but just that. If your system is still running, let your test handle detection of anything, of all the side effects that happen.
Could it be detected by this way? After the timeout, we just
Oh, sorry,
run something,
I messed up.
to detect if the system is alive.
Right. So, I mean, in that case, we would have to have some kind of heartbeat with the system, other than the serial console. And this is one of those cases where we would need the network to be up probably.
So the next is time recording for the jobs.
Which is what we just talked about as well.
Is for record part time for the deployment, like and test the execution on different boards, and we can summary and generate some average time, and it can be.
The average time and all that stuff is something we can do with the
I have a very interesting observation that every time I'm going to run this endless test, I will be interested to know what's the state now, even though it hasn't finished yet, because this kind of test, that by definition, when it finishes, I'm not interested that much.
It can be.
We're interested in how long it ran.
No, I'm just like, what it's doing now. Maybe there's something it can, like, is it still playing audio? I don't know. I don't know exactly what kind of test you can think of, but the thing I'm saying is that this test will show up on the dashboard only after it's crashing. And then you go to this system, whatever it goes page, and there's nothing there. Yeah, but it wouldn't know it's running. It will only run it's running in the dispatcher, in the schedule. It doesn't exist right now.
So,
The reporting
what would
cycle
you want to know
suffer.
about it?
Just a second. The reporting cycle suffer if we only say something to the dashboard at the very end of the test.
You could see potentially how long it's been running.
Yeah, I
On
know.
the schedule, I mean, you could see. it
So the
started
schedule
at
will
this
be able
point
to-
and-
Tell you that that's true. I was having this idea of like tests that start. You start to send something, and you can update add new stuff to it, and finish it. And it's like a streaming process, not just one at a time.
Right.
I don't know how useful this will be for this case, it will really depend on what the test is about, but just something that came to my mind when I was watching some demos recently. So you could go to the dashboard to see something in real time.
I think someone maybe want to see such data,
What's that?
such time.
Right.
Yeah.
So the Android guys are potentially interested in this for Monkey.
But monkey score.
Yes.
How
How long
long
did we run
monkeys
Monkey?
So does your infrastructure that actually submits the final result, does it need to just wait for final result? I mean, couldn't you just write it so that if we got any message from the test framework, we would submit things to the dashboard, and so you just say, okay, now we're doing this.
Okay, so it's not about messages, unfortunately, which would be easier. Currently we don't, so we just send the whole thing, but we could send a bit of it and continuously get more. It's possible. Like
You can't update a bundle though, you're talking about.
you don't like it would be a different process. It would just start bundle, start giving it test results and test results and test results and test results. You wouldn't get attachments because it's like a single channel menu, right? But you would still be able to stream something. It's the worst possible protocol for streaming, but it would be possible in the same format. And you would be once you really finish, then you give it the tail, like with some a bunch of closing braces.
We could write an RSS, whatever you use, it could.
So essentially, we could do
But
streaming.
it's not, you're not going to be able to see that until you're done submitting the
Yeah, you
bundle and
can.
deserialize it.
You can. You just have like partial. Right now we have put.
Deserializing incomplete bundles?
Yeah. So what am I saying? Right now we have put. Like we can stream. Like you can easily write a processor for XML. It's got like all the static stuff, and you can stream XML. Right? You have extremely large XML. You don't want to fit it in all in memory. You can just stream bits of it through your parser and figure things out. The same way, we could just stream the JSON document through, and as things come in, we have a different call for them. We'll just update the
In a
ongoing
case like
test.
this, so how does that help us really? Because
So the only thing it helps us with having ongoing test information. So if somebody asks us for doing that, we can do it. I don't want to do it today.
right.
But is it the real place to store that information? Shouldn't that be in the schedule report?
It's like the schedule knows about its stuff. I'm saying about their actual results. So we can stream the results not when you're finished,
But we already
as soon as
have
you
a way
have
to
anything.
get a lot of this information through the scheduler.
Sorry.
So we already have a way to get a lot of this through the scheduler. So if they really
What kind
care
of information
about
do you have
how
in
long
the
has this
schedule?
test been running, I mean, that's really.
No, that's the
all
basic
we can do.
thing. But you can what I'm saying is you can stream much more. You can stream everything that you can stream send normal bundles.
As you said, I think I would want to understand a clear purpose for this,
Yep.
because the only times, in my personal experience, that I've had long-running tests, the individual test results weren't anything that we cared
Yeah.
about. It was
Yeah.
how long did it run.
It could be nice if you
Before it
have
died.
this generally streaming interface, like you run LTP, it's going to run for 5 hours, you go to the dashboard, you see the already sent
You're
no
not going to care
results.
about the results if you're running
Yeah,
it
but
for 5
it's-
hours.
Yeah, I don't want to do it, it's just something that may
And
sound
guarantee that
nice,
one.
to have interactive,
Yes.
real live data.
I think that people want, in fact, probably the same monitoring like when you build a package inside a PPA, just find the log activities, not the complete log, but see that while refreshing the page, you see that something happened.
Happens, yeah.
Well, I mean, that's another problem with this as well, too, because if we're
It's
generating tons of data over for that serial log,
You could just show the tail to people. Like their performance is one thing, but things like you go to the scheduler queue, look at your job, you go to some dispatcher front end for that, and there you can see the tail of the serial log. That's something valuable. Like if it's a long running job, you're figuring out what the hell is going on. Do I cancel it now? Is it hanging, asking me a yes or no question? Seems useful, and like doesn't seem like we have to break up to do it. I don't want to do it. It's just something. I'm just
Right.
saying it's.
so we'll note it down
Possibility.
here, but,
And one thing that could be a real use case, but if you want to have a test that runs Raybreak and all this stuff, and now you're debugging it interactively on your computer, and you want to be able to reuse for example, a report or something else that we have, and you want to streamline data, like a multimedia test, and you have this fancy graph already. But that's a far stretch.
yeah. I think so.
But still.
Okay.
For next day's result bundle publishing enhancement, I intend to once there is something enhancement in this part on this pattern, but I have no good idea.
What do you mean?
Now there is an improvement that all bundles will combine.
Right. I've merged that, so it's all combined into one bundle, all the test runs.
That's good stuff.
So you're thinking, you think there should be something else here, but you just don't know what it is? I can tell you one, but we've already got a bug in court. It's assigned to you.
I have no idea for this part.
So it's bugged, and I think it's just something we need to take care of, but currently the bundles are saved out as testname.bundle. And so if you run the same test twice, it overwrites the first one. So we don't want to do that. We want to give it a unique name.
Could the dispatcher somehow have a nice name for the things like, so this person submits this job, then this job should have any kind of human readable description that the dispatcher should name the bundle with or something. So like we don't end up with pointless.
So that's actually, yeah, it just needs to save it out as something with a unique name.
Well,
Yeah, if you use a date stamp or whatever,
Yeah,
you can add
that's
tack that onto the end.
That's not the thing.
We don't care, we're throwing it away, we're throwing away the file anyways, we don't care.
We stored it
We don't store the file.
in the dashboard. We know.
No, you're not thinking of the right file. We're talking about when you run abrect run test -o foo.bundle.
Okay, so what do
To
you
output the bundle file, that name is
Yes,
the same
Yeah.
if you run the same test. It's being stored as testname.bundle.
All right.
We just need to give the unique name.
And when you
That's a pretty easy
upload the
bundle.
result of the
That's
dashboard,
that's a 5-minute job.
when you upload the result of the dashboard, what kind of name do you give it? Because when you upload it, you say, I'm uploading this binary content, and this is its name, because we're going to store both. And all
I
I'm
don't
saying
remember what
is,
name we did. I think we give it a generic name.
so what I'm saying is, we
Bundle.
probably have, it would be nice if we could derive the name of this file, of this name that you give it to,
Mhm.
from the description of the job. Because if you go to the
Don't we have
dashboard,
another place for that though already? Don't we have like a test description field or something?
the bundle it has many tests. We have test descriptions. So I'm saying if you go to the bundle view and you see 5 bundles, it's not A, B, C, it's Joe's manual batch, whatever. It's Lava's daily, whatever, stuff like that. And you will have real name descriptions for bundles.
So by giving the bundle file name that we submit the name of the description,
From the job,
From the
something
job.
like, or derived maybe.
can it have spaces? Will it deal with that okay?
Yeah, well, in the past, spaces.
Well, I know, of course, but
Yeah,
it's
you can't have
freak out
slash.
because I know you have some
Yeah,
characters that you don't
so-
like in certain fields.
Yeah, but this one is really special because I didn't do any checking.
Okay. Good. I like it when you don't do any checking.
So it just, let's just derive something and from the
Okay.
job description. I'm supposed to talk to something, right?
Another idea, I think, can we find streams on the dashboard server if there is long string arrow specified in job file?
You mean like you want to upload it something that doesn't exist?
No. If the provided string name is long,
So it doesn't
it
exist?
doesn't exist in
Okay.
on the server. Can we?
Yes, you can create a new bundle stream. There's a different question. Who says where to upload to? How does it work now? If you give it a path name externally, then the path name was wrong. You could try to create that, but that's a little bit abusive. Maybe, I don't know. How does
Sorry,
it
I
work?
missed it. What?
So when you upload the result from the dispatcher, which bundle stream does it go to?
It goes to whichever one you specify.
And who does the specifying?
When you submit the job, that's one of the parameters that you pass to
That's
the
your,
action.
okay, so, yeah, it's kind of, the shame is that you run this job for a whole day or a week and you made a typo in the stream name and it goes away. I don't know. We could just, could you like
And you did what?
You made it like the job description had a typo in the URL. Oh, sorry, the path.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so maybe we should just save it aside in an area that we can look at later and not create, you can create a bundle stream. There's a call for that, but it seems, no, wrong to do it. So I would just store it somewhere and not, don't discard it.
Yeah, we could.
Like those lost and found.
Lost and found, exactly.
And we could like, if
So,
someone comes
sorry.
to us and says,
Which one was
jobs
that?
and they're
That
not
was
coming.
Yeah, that would be easy to do.
Surely you want to know before you started running the job, though.
Yeah, but actually, you could check if it's like,
Yeah.
so once you actually, it's a dynamic problem because then.
It's not going to know until it tries to submit it.
No, but you can check beforehand.
But yeah, check it.
You can check if
Before
the bundle
you
stream
do it,
exists, but it's a
that it's
silly
valid.
solution. But because you
Yeah, but
can check
it doesn't
and
matter
remove it,
because you
and you
can
can crash later.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. Yeah.
Time or not, let's do it faster. For the next is is there something changing to the interface between dispatcher and scheduler?
I have no idea what the interface is, and we don't have a scheduler yet.
Yeah.
Perhaps,
Yes.
perhaps the answer is yes.
Yes.
We'll work it out. What?
Yes, but it's too early to know.
Well, there's some, yeah.
Yeah.
We talked about this, didn't we?
Yes.
Yes, I talked
We
about
have
this.
some ideas,
We
yeah.
have some ideas. But the answer is yes.
Can we discuss?
Well, let's get fleshed out to actually write the scheduler and see what we need. And we
Right.
figure out, oh, it doesn't have those bunch of missing APIs.
Well,
But we never
yeah.
called that.
Do it, yeah.
So the last one is enjoy branch merge. I think the main task may happen from dispatcher part. Is it necessary to make note?
Oh, sorry. You want to merge the Android brand? And is it just test or test and? Yes, that's awesome. Is it just test or test plus let's rewrite this part of Abrec as well? I suppose it's the latter.
Germany has average Android branch. I don't know if we
Okay,
can find some
Okay.
chance to merge it back
I would
to
say-
master. Is it necessary?
let's propose it for merge. and
It is
see.
proposed for merge.
Okay, I will
Jeremy's done all
action,
his work on it, it's proposed for
I'll
merge.
action myself to
I-
review it.
Yeah,
I think it's
please
just-
review it, and I'm trying to test it, I haven't gotten a chance. You made some changes, I think, right before this week, right?
Yeah.
And you feel like it's ready to be looked at again, correct? Or were there still changes that you feel like you need to make?
Yeah, it's still in progress.
You're still in progress?
I know there's something I still need to
Okay.
change or can I make it better.
So I still, so as of before we left to come up here this week, I was working on setting up my SD card so that I could test it. I still want to try to test it as is, but when you feel like you've done whatever changes you think you still need to do, can you send us an email and just let us know? Or do a resubmit on the merge?
I will wrote down some feedback after the LDS
Okay,
on the merge purpose for merge.
okay.
I would like to make a distinction between merging any Android tests and merging any Android testing infrastructure. Let's merge the latter first and then look at the tests, because I don't care about the tests, I'll just say yes. But I'm really interested to know how the infrastructure is going to impact that. We need to change this part of Abrec to support it. This is something I'm going to review. I'm going to review the tests, because I guess it's a test, so now what? I
So you
run
can
the
go,
test.
so the tests are in there, but they're actually in like one or two actions by themselves. They're pretty self-contained.
Oh, it's like a chain loader for the actual dispatching. Sorry, for the
It's
actual
just-
test that
yeah.
on the device
So
already.
instead of test Abrec, it's like
Yeah, okay.
Android
Okay.
test monkey or something like that.
There are Android monkey test and
Right.
Android US bench.
Right. So it's the test code is very self-contained.
Okay.
So you can actually go out there and see the progress we've made so far. Right now, it's in
Can
the
someone
trouble.
paste the name of like a different
Yes.
test URL? Because, well,
Yes.
it's,
And also the G2 also giving some feedback
okay.
about maybe we can make just one comment for Android, like Android, just one comment for Android test. And and there will be a parameter for the comment for monkey and US bench. Like a sub command. I mean, like Android, to Lava dispatcher, it will just know run Android, and it will give a parameter to that command. Like Android, every command they are parameter for every command. For a command to know how test to run, like LTP or PY bench, GTL probe, something like that. And G2 also gives
Some ideas.
The idea was the dispatcher of the lava only depend on the test run. In this case, we have the Abrec as a test run. And the parameter in that will be the test. But right now, the current implementation is include test inside the lava. So the idea was to make a Android test run.
Yeah.
That's difficult in this case because you're running it remotely. So you got
Yeah, then that runner should be handling all these details.
Yeah.
Right.
The dispatcher only have one command to
So,
interact with that.
It kind of comes back to the like the parasitic count thing in the early Java history, that we should have interfaces. I want to run a test and implementations, and there's a good way to do that, because afterwards we're going to have a test Ubuntu command and a test Android command with identical API, and this is silly. So we should definitely work towards something that makes this a test command, and it knows it's going to run on Android.
So the concept is we can just have one command for enjoying test, and then there could be like a framework component inside the dispatcher.
Yeah, there are definitely ways to solve that.
Replacing the concept of the network.
I think we're out of time.
Yeah,
We're actually
well out
past
of time.
Yeah.
So,
Now we're just gonna
let me find
Is there
the
wrap up?
question.
Around board.
It'll be very loud and noisy.
I suspect.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah.